Hi, y'all. Okay, so I wanted to do a little video today that I've been promising to do for a while, and this is my this is going to be weird. So if you don't want to be weirded out, turn it off right now. So I have a little hypothesis going on based upon what I think is happening in this world and who they are, and it is a mixture of looking at people's skeletons and seeing that they aren't what they say they are, reading some of these different scriptures like Genesis and the book of Enoch, also going through certain things like the Adam Kadmon. And so this is kind of how I've come about or come up to my ideas. Also, yesterday, this lady, Lori, over at Blue Heron, she has done some really good work on vampires and talk this yesterday. She put this one out, WW2 vampire camps for children. Nazis used blood from 40,000 Jewish children for wounded German soldiers. In spite of their pure Aryan blood theory, the Nazi authorities are now using blood taken from 40,000 Jewish children in occupied countries for transfusions for German soldiers wounded on the Russian front, is reliably reported here today. Now, we know that a lot of the things that are reported from World War II are kind of biased, but I'll show you why I put this up there, because I don't believe that it was just them doing it to Jews. I think that this goes a little more deep, and I'll show you why. So in Genesis, you've got your creation in the first chapter. Actually, I should show you guys that. So we should do Genesis chapter 1. I like the King James Version. I think he might be one of the kings. All right, so there's some important words the way that it's said in here about God creating us. And God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the air." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female he created them. And God blessed them and said unto them, "Be fruitful and multiply." Okay, so right here, this is misconstrued a lot, or not. I'm not going to say it's misconstrued. There are two different ways of seeing this. Some people think that it's a separate creation of a man and a woman. And then if you go over to the Kabbalah, Adam Kadmon, they believe that the Adam Kadmon, the primordial man, was a hermaphrodite, basically. It was both things, right? And that um, God basically separated a male and female, and that's actually the quote unquote fallen state. Now, that's going to be important later on, and you'll see this here. These, I think it's 10, 3, yeah, these 10 circles. You can even see that that is in Leonardo da Vinci's, what is this famous drawing he's got here? And I also thought it was interesting because this one over here has a king, right? And I think this is where they're getting divine right to rule. All right, so just remember that. Go back to here. So in the chapter 1, we have God saying, "Let us make man in our image and after our likeness," right? Male and female, he created he them. Is that why that these transgender people want to be called they or those or we, right? All right, so let's go to the second chapter here. I have another Gosh, what's going on? Let's go to 2. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. I thought man was already made in the other chapter, right? So they're just saying the story again? And the Lord God said, "It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make an helpmeet for him." And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl in the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature was the name thereof. And then here's where God causes a sleep to fall on Adam, and he took one of his ribs. Now, I thought that was significant because, like back in college in the 90s when I was studying, the ribs are one of the best places to get stem cells from an adult. Interesting, huh? All right, so let's get to the point here with what I was talking about, the Adam Kadmon over here, the divine androgyne. Just remember that, divine androgyne. So, in Genesis chapter 6, here's where things get weird, and we start talking about the Nephilim. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he is also flesh, yet his days shall be numbered 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, they bare children unto them, the same which became mighty men, which of old, men of renown. Now, in my little hypothesis, men of renown is referring to their celebrities at the time. And in my hypothesis of what I'm thinking is that those are the same people still. The same spirits, the same families are the offspring of these giants, which were also called Nephilim. Now, it says that God saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continuously. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And so God decided to destroy us, right? Everything, all the beasts. And it says, but Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. So 3 different things, right? He was a good guy. He was just and fair. He was perfect in his generations, meaning, in my opinion, that his daughters were not breeding with the sons of God, right? And that he walked with God. So he had 3 different things. And then here we go here, where it talks about who Noah's, who he had created, right? So he tells him to make the ark. Now, let's go over to the book of Enoch, which was taken out of the Bible. It wasn't put in. And in my opinion, it's because it tells you too much. So let's look at chapter 6. Imagine that. Chapter 6 in the book of Enoch. Chapter 6. So here we're talking about the sons of God, so the daughters of men, right? So chapter 6. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Semyaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear you will not indeed agree to this deed, and I alone shall have to pay for the penalties of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then they all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it, and they were in all 200, who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon, which they called Mount Hermon, because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And these were the names of their leaders: Samlazaz, their leader Arachlabal, Ramiel, Koklablel, Tomlel, Ramlel, Danel, Ezekiel, Barikiel, Azael, Armaros, Batarel, Ananel, Zakiel, Samsapil, Satarel, Turel, Yomyael, Sariel. And these are their chiefs of tens. So I think that means that each one of those guys was in charge of 10 people or 10 angels, right? So here we go to chapter 7. And all the others together took with them unto themselves wives, and for each chose himself one, and they began to go in unto them and defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms and enchantments, the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. And they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells. Now, an ell is 3.75 feet. That is enormous. And then what happened is these giants, who consumed all the acquisitions of men, and when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. And Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates. Told them all this stuff basically about war. Semyaza taught about enchantments, root cutting, Barakiel, astrology. So we learned all of this stuff from the fallen angels, right? The watchers. And that's where you see this eye all the time. That's where it comes from. If you haven't read the book of Enoch, it's pretty interesting. But I just thought it was very interesting here in chapter 6, 7, and 8. They start telling you what they were telling you in the Bible, but not all of it. Anyways, it goes on and talks about Noah, right? Here's the children of the watchers. Destroy the children of fornication and the children of the watchers from amongst men. So that's where I think this comes from. Vampires, right? Think about it. What are they? It literally says in here that they bound themselves and they consumed everything that men had. And when we couldn't feed them anymore, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind, and they were drinking blood. Now, I thought this was interesting down here in chapter 13. So basically, the fallen ones want to apologize, and they ask Enoch for help. And God actually damns them forever. So it says, And Enoch went and said, Azazel, thou shalt have no peace. A severe sentence hath gone forth against thee to put thee in bonds, and thou shalt not have toleration nor request granted to thee because of the unrighteousness which thou hast taught, and because of all the works of godlessness and unrighteousness and sin which thou hast shown to men. Then I went and spoke to all of them together, and they were all afraid, and fear and trembling seized them. And they besought me to draw up a petition for them that they might be forgiven, and to read their petition in the presence of the Lord of heaven. For from thenceforward they could not speak with him, nor lift up their eyes to heaven for the shame of their sins for which they had been condemned. Then I wrote out their petition and the prayer in regard to their spirits and their deeds individually, and in regards to their requests that they should have forgiveness and length. And I went off and sat at the waters of the Dan, in the land of Dan, to the south of west of Hermon. And I read their petition till I fell asleep. And behold, a dream came to me, and visions fell down upon me. And I saw visions of chastisement, and a voice bidding me, I, to tell it to the sons of heaven and reprimand them. And when I awakened, I came unto them, and they were all sitting together, weeping, in Abel's jail, which is Lebanon and Sennacer, with their faces covered. And I recounted before them all the visions which I had seen in sleep, and I began to speak the words of righteousness, to reprimand the heavenly watchers. That's what I always think of when I see the Eye of Horus, the heavenly watchers. And so what he says, Enoch's talked with God, and he said, I wrote out your petition, and in my vision it appeared thus, that your petition will not be granted unto you throughout all the days of eternity, and that judgment has been finally passed on you. Yea, your petition will not be granted to you, and thenceforth you will not ascend into heaven unto all eternity, and the bonds of the earth, this decree hath gone forth to bind you for all the days of the world. And that previously you shall have seen the destruction of your beloved sons, and ye shall have no pleasure in them, but they shall fall before you by the sword. And your petition on their behalf shall not be granted, nor yet on your own, even though you weep and pray and speak all the words contained in the writing which I have written. So basically, these fallen angels, they're stuck here according to the book of Enoch. And that maybe answers one of my questions I've had, which is, if they know they're going to lose in the end, why are they still doing what they're doing? I guess because they're stuck here, right? Forever? I don't know. It's very interesting. It's kind of wild. So what I wanted to do also, I wanted to talk about who are these people that give us our religions. So I think a lot of you guys are probably up or know a little bit about skeletons and different different transgender people that we're seeing. But I've been starting to go back through history. So look at this person here. This is Emperor Constantine. Tiny head, sloping jaw. Let me do one of these. I'm going to use this here. You see where that shoulder joint is? You see how wide that hip is? Now this is obviously, this is pretty hard to do with statues, right? Look at how high the ears are, right? That's female, right? Really high ears, eyes close together, big wide hips. So this picture to me, it looks androgynous, but like I said, you can't really prove it on this, but I'm going to go through these pictures that I got from the internet. This is crazy looking here. Now this looks like a brow ridge. This looks more male to me. This mouth looks small. Look how low the ears look on here. So to me, this picture or this statue of Constantine lends more to it being male. Here we are again with the really high ears. See? But this jaw does look pretty square. It's pretty hard to tell. I am not sure with Constantine just because we don't have very good pictures. Now, when I look at this sloping jaw here, let's see, look at how low the ears are. that is usually a woman's ear attachment is a little higher than that, right? Like it's usually men with the low ears. I don't think I've ever seen a woman in my life with low ears. And this appears to be a decent sized brow ridge. Now this jaw looks pretty curved to me. This neck is huge. So we could just have a bad sculptor or someone who never saw the guy in person, right? Here's another one. Look at the hips on this thing. Hips don't lie, right, Shakira? So I don't go to the edge of, like, I don't go to the deltoid, and I'll tell you why. Because one of the tricks that the people in Hollywood do is they build up their deltoids so it makes it look like the woman has big wide shoulders when they don't. I go to where the arm attaches, right? Where the arm attaches, because that's the actual width of the shoulder. And look at that. Shoulders and matching hips, right? So this one's pretty hippie. Kind of hard to tell with the legs. This is, I don't know. I know a girl who had a bony ankle like this because she'd broken her ankle many times playing volleyball with me. This face here, look at how smooth that is, right? It's not male. This here, we got a low ear. I thought this was interesting. How much Zuckerberg looks like Emperor Constantine. Emperor Constantine looks more male than this one does, right? Like, what is this? That's not a brow ridge. Look at this face. His face is like mine. Soft eyes, too. This one has huge eyes. But this one is interesting. So the ear position, right? Pretty high for Emperor Constantine. Oh, I was going to say something here about... So this width here at the nose, where the nose inserts into a skull, in a man, it's wider, and that's why people who are want to be transgender get their nose done, right? Look at this. Look at how wide that is. That would lead me to think it's a male. This is a statue that was done, I believe, a long time after his death. Neck looks male. This is probably the most male looking one, right? Got the lions, they're predators. So what my little hypothesis is that whatever rules over us, they are divine androgynes. That's what they worship, right? And if you look at, like, we're going to look at King James here. King James Version. Is this a boy? Is that a boy? Look at this. Like, what? Look at this little torso, right? And the hips. Like, what boy wears something like this? Look at how short these arms are. Look at the legs. Look at the fat carried in the legs, the fat going all the way down. This is King James as a little boy. I mean, what are they wearing these collars for? To cover up their Adam's apple or lack thereof? Like, this looks like what little girls wear, right? With the collar. Interesting, right? Here is another one that I think is really interesting. And obviously, there are a lot of people who are a lot better at transvestigation than I am. I'm actually doing this more in the vein of, my hypothesis is that whatever rules over us is the souls of the fallen angels, the descendants of man mixed with the fallen angels. That's why they are putting 33 everywhere, because a third of heaven revolted against God. That's what they're up to. At least that's what I think. All right, so let's look at this. Is this a man? Look at how short the torso is. Look at how long the legs are. Women have long legs and short torso. What kind of man wears this? Well, what is this for? These arms are very short too. So when I do my investigations, I try to figure out where the crotch is. And then I look for where the wrist is. And in men and these creatures that are men pretending to be women, the wrist is below the crotch. This thing here, very short torso, tiny little head, tiny head on this big old body, right? Women have small heads. Look at this. This to me looks like a bearded lady. Look at it's got its widow's peak. And I know some men have it. This is very suspicious to me, especially considering the baby shot here, right? Like, I've never seen a little boy look this feminine. Look at that. Let's look here again. I'm actually reading one of King James's books called Demonology. Again, what do I see? Short torso, long legs, small feet. Look at how tall this person is, and look at how tiny the feet are. Look at that. If you didn't have that beard there, what is that? This isn't really a brow ridge. This is like sunken eyes. King James looks very female to me. I'll show you the same thing on this other picture about the feet. Men that are tall, Men that are tall have huge feet and huge hands. Look at how tiny these hands are. Now maybe these painters are just terrible with proportions. But look at how big this creature is compared with its feet. Look at these tiny little ankles. Long, long legs. It's just very weirdly proportioned. And you wonder, like, how would they change their gender back then? Well, the way they do it is one of the ways we still get hormones now. You use horses, right? You use horse urine, male horse urine if you want to appear male, female horse urine if you want to appear female. That's been kind of a guess of mine that maybe that's why they keep such nice horses. Now look at this. This person, they're doing their best to cover up their shoulders, right? So let's just say their real shoulders probably here because they got a lot of fluff on. This person's shoulders and hips are pretty much right in alignment. And look at how this is this person's wrist. Look at how much higher it is than the crotch. Let's say their crotch is, I don't know, let's say her crotch is like right here. Right, let's see, where is this leg going up? This leg is going up, it's going up. Let's say it's right here. Is this arm going to swing down and be anywhere near the crotch? No. Soft face, again, looking like a grandma to me with a beard. This one is when he's older. Soft looking hands, soft face, small forehead. No brow ridge. Sunken eyes though. Wasn't getting enough protein. Now, let's look at one of the men. You see this? Look at these arms. See what I've been saying about how, and look at this torso, how long this torso is. All of their clothes are made to try to hide them, right? They want to make it have a big old skirt here so it looks like they have hips. And they're trying to do everything they can to make this, oh, look like this is accidentally wide, right? Make this here so that you can't see that there's three heads across, right? Look at how tall this forehead is. This is one of the prettier ones. But look at these arms. I'll tell you, I can always, I see these ones. There's one on the one that's Caroline on Poldark. You never seen longer arms on any creature in the world. It's unbelievable. Oh, whoops. Actually, I'll show you this one. Let's see if I can find it. Carolyn Poldark. So this one is actually British royalty. That's an actor. See if I can find the long arms. When he's wearing the purple. Oh my God. Look at the size of the skull. Look at the strength in that neck. I gotta find these arms though. The arms, what give it away. They don't have an arm. They don't have an arm operation. See how long the arms are? See these elbows? All right, so on a woman, whoops, I need another one of these. Here we go. On a woman, the elbow is right at the end of your rib cage. Look at where that elbow is. So on a man, the elbow falls where the waist is. Look at how low the waist is. That's male. If it was a woman, the elbow would be up here where this rib cage should end, but it's a male rib cage too. All right, back. Whoops. Shit. This is another one I saw. You know, it looks a little more masculine, but not really. Look at this. You see this curve here? See how this, where this waist is? How this person has a tiny little rib cage. Not like what I just showed you. Has full lips like a female. Sloping jaw, no brow ridge. I thought this was interesting. This guy was supposedly known as King James's husband because they tell you he was gay. I don't know. That looks to be a little bit of a brow ridge. I don't know. I didn't go full out with him. Here's King James and Queen Elizabeth next to each other here. I think this is Queen Elizabeth. It's one of the queens, or maybe his mother. So which one is male? This one or this one? My money is on this one all day. Like, look at this. That's such a sweet little face. This thing has a jaw like a bulldozer. And look at the stare, right? Look at the stare. You know, males, when they stare at you, they have that look. Let's see here. Here's Mary Stuart. This one looks very male to me. I think this one is too. That's why they've drawn the lips like that. Look at this fist. Look at these hands. Look at these shoulders. Good Lord. Definitely three across here. And we're not even talking, like if we cut the sleeves off, you're still talking three across. Cut the sleeves off, still talking three heads across. I don't know. I've gotten to where I just try to, I don't even look at anything. I imagine, because they put all this stuff on them to hide. They're trying to hide what they are. They don't want to let you download some of these, do they? Interesting. All right. So, another reason why I thought this was interesting is tying into the vampire thing. So, throughout history, we have stories, Dracula is Count Dracula. We got Countess Bathory, who, Eastern European. This is the one that supposedly like tortured and killed 700 virgins, female virgins, to bathe in their blood. It's an awful masculine looking face, and look at how big those eyes are, and look at that nose. Look at the width of the nose going into the skull. Ears are kind of low. It's hard to tell though. Let's see here. Trying to figure out where that shoulder bone is, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell on this picture, like shoulder width. But when I see something like this, I know like they're trying to obscure something. Like, what else is the point of all of this kind of stuff, right? I think all fashion is to hide them. Here's a picture painting. This looks like a boy to me. Boy with like some pouty lips, low ear, big, huge forehead, receding hairline. Torso does look short though in this picture. How long is this? Let's see. Where do we guess the crotch is? So wrists at the crotch, actually wrists below the crotch. At least that's kind of what I'm seeing here, right? Straight across. If we're assuming this is the crotch, lower. I don't know. It's hard to prove. Has kind of the wonky eye, when you abuse the hormones. Here's the other famous vampire that Prince Charles says he's related to. Vlad Tepes. Sloping jaw. Big pointed jaw here though. I don't know. This one, I'm not sure. Looks male to me. But like I can't see a lot of I'd have to really do an in-depth thing. But we're just kind of taking a look at vampires, right, which are related with royalty. And then here we go. You guys watch oh wow. They don't want to let me copy those pictures. How interesting is that? So this is American Horror Story Hotel. So in Hotel, Lady Gagme is a vampire in the hotel, and they've got little children. Hotel Cortez. I mean, look at this. That's obviously a dude in a dress. So is this. Just a much more made up dude in a dress. This is another dude in a dress. That's a good picture of him, though. Sometimes he almost passes, but the face is so big, so long. Another one. I'm trying to find the children. There they are. So they've got these children that are imprisoned in the house, and they're drinking their blood. And the children drink blood too. They're all blonde.